Welcome back. Welcome back to everyone. And so we have had another amazing, fun-packed day. And this morning we have heard from so many different people. We have heard from Amazon. We heard about how traceability is really working in connected packaging. We also heard around the interesting information where Evian are looking to use connected packaging to help them with data. We also heard from SIG, and we heard about the different ways that they are using connected packaging as well. Gregor Murray then took us on a journey, and he took us on a fantastic journey through sustainability and innovation within sustainability, right way across from his political background right the way through to his FMCG. Fantastic stuff. We then heard from Virginia, and she talked to us about how Garcia Carrion are really implementing so many different initiatives to have zero waste, and how they're using connected packaging to inform their customers about their new packaging decisions, their new aluminium-free packaging. We then heard about authentication from Karan and Ventures, and how they're actually using connected packaging to help consumers to understand authentic products and genuine products in market, building trust and building loyalty. And then Claire, who was just with us, actually talked to us about how their software really helps brands and consumers to understand the reusability data and the options available for brands to be able to use reusability. So there's been a lot going on today, and so much also happened yesterday, but I am so happy to extend a warm virtual welcome to Sukhdev Singh Saini. He is Global Toothbrush and Devices Packaging Lead at Colgate Palmolive. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know it's early for you.
Thank you, Jenny.
Well, great to have you here. We've heard, as you heard my summary, from so many different people and different perspectives, and I really want to get into some content with you. But before I do, I just want to ask you a quick question. If you can tell us something that we might not know, an interesting fact that maybe not a lot of people know about you.
Okay, that's a tough one right in the morning for me, but yeah, I can start with the easier one, which I always answer, is like I can speak and read and write 4 languages. Yeah, and right now learning the 5th one, which is Spanish, which is coming handy when I'm in the US. Yeah, that's something I'm learning, and I'm liking the journey.
Great. Well, if you've got 4 languages under your belt, I think Spanish is probably going to be very easy for you. Fantastic. All right. Well, as I say, we've had some great themes. We've really focused on innovation and sustainability, and our job now is to wrap it all up. So we heard from GS1, we heard about the death of the barcode. What do you think about that? How can brands move towards that? What's your perspective there?
I would say it's an idea which I think has been discussed like many times earlier, and it is going to be a progressive step in terms of moving to say a code which will be utilized by end users. Also declutter the packaging. It will save us some space, and instead of having multiple things on a packaging, it would be having like one single code, and which is also recognized by, say, multiple organizations. So yeah, I think it's a positive step, which will definitely help a lot of consumers and also customers.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it will offer quite a lot of different opportunities for brands to be able to fulfill the problem, which I think sometimes comes up in terms of being able to reward through discount vouchers, because retailers not being able to recognize codes and vouchers and things like that. So if we had one system there that was able to interact with the consumer and the retailer, sounds like it would probably solve that problem.
Certainly. I think it would be a single window of engagement.
Yeah.
Where we can plan things out in terms of either a promotional item or any sort of a competition which will communicate to the consumers. Also, if there is a value to education and knowledge about certain things which the brand would like to share with consumers, that would also be an effective way of sharing. I think we need to be aware of the fact that consumers don't want too much information or knowledge directly thrown at them, because if you just share everything at one go, perhaps they will just run away. So I think they want it at their will and at their convenience. If somebody's interested and if they want to educate themselves, I think they should have options available to them to easily navigate and understand about, say, a brand, their story, or their sustainability journeys. And then also, if they want to know more about raw material, packaging material, disposable methods, like how to dispose of the material, I think there is a lot of work which can be done in this particular context.
Yeah, no, definitely. Do you think there's any, well, there's lots of trends, but any trends in particular that kind of jump out at you at the moment in the market in terms of connected packaging, innovation, sustainability?
Yeah, so there are like many people who are doing a lot of work around. I think if we say in the last 2-3 years, people have directly jumped in. I think there was this famous, I think the wine example where the 19 crimes got very, very, I would say, popular because of the work around the design. And I think it was very different at that moment of time. Also, some of the, say, beverage industry, I think there are a couple of beverage examples in the market as well. They have done some work, especially, say, around, I think if I think about, there was this, I forgot the name. I think it is around Starlight edition, I think, of Coke, which they worked around, and that was also like looking to be good. They had something called as a consumer centric content, and it worked for them. If I have to also think about, say, the latest examples which I have also been talking about is, or like we have been also trying to understand more, is the work around accessible packaging. How can we engage, say, people who have issues with, say, visibility? So I think a lot of companies, including like Kellogg's, P&G, Unilever, they have been doing fantastic work in that context. And I think there are a lot of examples, especially companies like Navilens. They have been doing good work in connecting people in that platform.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it becomes actually quite surprising when you start talking about diversity and inclusion, and then you start talking about people with impaired vision. It's actually quite astounding the amount of people who do have some form of visual impairment. It doesn't mean that you absolutely can't see, but there's an absolutely huge percentage of people who have a form of visual disability, which actually means if you can scan a code and watch a video, or scan a code and hear something, you have the ability to actually access information that perhaps you wouldn't be able to. And actually, you just have to think about it. Not even my grandparents, my parents, if they're looking at, a package, they can't read the writing on that. There's no way they can read. They hold it at really arm's length, trying to be able to read it. They can't. So, being able to hear it, being able to see it, being able to actually just have it on a screen where you can, expand or magnify that text makes a huge difference. So I absolutely agree with you there. There's so much going on in terms of inclusion that I think is really, really important. What about what you're involved in at the moment? Anything around sustainability in terms of connected packaging? Anything that you've seen around that kind of sustainability thing?
Yeah, so I think, as I mentioned earlier, there are many examples in the industry right now where people have started adding up a lot of things. In example, I think the Tetra Pak story, where they added a lot of information. They added the codes to share how the packaging is built, what they are doing about the work. And I was also following your work as well, I think during Interpack, where you engaged with some of the consumers and customers through the stories of how brands are doing their sustainability programs. That was fantastic, I would say so. Another example which came to my mind was, I think, the addition of a lot of, say, digital printers, which are now serializing the packaging in today's world. So I think that's again getting into a zone where it is important for people to track their supply chain and understand and work together on that part, which eventually means that consumers can see where their material is coming from. Is it a sustainable source and certified material, and then they can be rest assured that they are buying the right product, and whatever brand has been claiming, they can see and check for themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge thing at the moment, because I don't think we can call sustainability a trend anymore. I think this is just something that we need to do in our everyday lives. It's not going to go away. It's not going to go out of fashion. Looking after the planet that we live on, I can't see how that's not going to be important anymore. But being able to cut through that, being able to stay away from greenwashing, to be able to say, actually, this is what we're doing, and this particular package came from here, and as we saw from Claire, this has actually been reused X amount of times if it's reused, and this is where this should be recycled, really starts to open up that direct communication between the brand and the consumer, which is, what I think connected packaging really offers brands to be able to do. Do you think consumers want to have that connection? Do you think consumers want to have access to that?
I would say certainly consumers would like to have access to the information, and they would like to stay connected on that part. But if you go out there and then talk to them and say how much time they would like to spend, I think the numbers would vary definitely. I think what we have seen also is, say, many consumers do not spend more than like few seconds on each pack. They would like to kind of say that, okay, they are confident, they know what they are buying, what they are doing, and how to use the bag. But in reality, there are situations, even for me as a packaging technologist for many years, I struggle sometimes to understand some of the content, or even to say certain packs it has to be opened. Actually, it has happened with me as well. So certainly, I think consumers with this information at hand, they would be happy to engage, I would say so.
Yeah. And well, we see lots of different ranges, and of course it depends on the content that's behind that QR code. But on average, we see about 2 to 3 minutes of engagement time. But that's because, of course, we're creating content for them to engage with, rather than just maybe a 30-second video, which of course will only give you a 30-second engagement time maximum. Do you think consumers are willing to pay more for sustainable packaging?
So that's an interesting question. I would say it depends, actually. So if they feel there is a value we are adding to their life, to their consumption, they would definitely like to pay more. However, I think if they feel now that if this is something which is very basic, you mentioned about it, it's not a trend anymore, and this is a reality, and it's a part of what they are expecting, then perhaps they may not be willing to pay more. That's what I think the shift is happening in the phase. So you can see, if today, if I visit Starbucks and I'm happy to pay a certain amount for my normal cappuccino, and I know that this is the price I'm paying at my normal shop, but then eventually they bring in, say, something different, say something for summers, and that is priced on the higher side. Now I am willing to pay something extra dollar or a couple of dollars, because that's something different. They are bringing some value to me, and it's a different flavor, it's something summer centric, and yeah, I need something different now, or something extra added to my cappuccino. So I am more willing to kind of pay that extra dollar or two because it's different. They have worked something out, and their team behind the creation, they have done something different. So I understand that value. Now, this is where I think consumers should also kind of realize that there is a lot of work which is happening behind the scene, and the entire research and development team, supply chain teams are working to get the real, say, if we are talking about organic brands. So, how they are sourced, the people who are working on organic farms, they are working to keep the material intact in terms of not to be contaminated. And then eventually for packaging material as well, if you're buying, say, from certain sources which are certified, and they would cost a slightly higher amount of money. Now, if we are able to share that background and story with the consumer, if they understand there is a real value in buying a certified product, be it like organic, be it sustainable, recyclable, or using a certain type of recycled content material, definitely I think they would be ready to pay more. The real challenge right now is to bridge that gap and to make them realize that this is what I think we are doing as a brand and as a supply chain together. And I think certainly consumers would be happier to pay more once they realize that this is something important for them as well as for the planet.
Yeah. And I think that comes back to the communication. And earlier today, actually, I was talking to Gregor about the communication, because we were talking about tethered caps. And of course, the tethered caps, there's the whole piece around, actually, a lot of people don't actually really understand what they're there for. Some people just think that they're, a mistake, or you're just supposed to just rip it off, or, something like that. So if you don't communicate what that is for, then of course consumers don't actually know or understand. Therefore, if they don't understand the value that this extra packaging is X, Y, Z, and therefore it's going to cost you an extra 10 pence, then, I understand what you're saying. That if they don't understand the value, why would they pay more? Whether it's sustainability or whether it's a new flavor in your cappuccino, right?
True, very true.
Yeah. And I think that's, again, a fantastic way for connected packaging to be able to help educate the consumers. And that's why, Garcia Carrion, who also spoke earlier today, was talking about the fact that they used QR codes to communicate the fact that they've removed aluminium from their cartons. So again, you wouldn't know as a consumer that they had done that. It just looks like another carton, right? So that's how they're doing it. What do you think in terms of widespread adoption? I mean, I've just talked about the people I've been mentioning today, and of course we're all on the connected packaging, so of course they're using connected packaging. What do you think the major challenges and barriers are for other brands who might be thinking about connected packaging and not maybe doing it yet?
I would say in terms of I think the understanding part of it, how do we align the thoughts around connected packaging to the needs of the consumer or the brand, actually. So that there has to be a connection around, because there are like this is a tool which is available for all the organizations and brands to be utilized. Now, unless the brand or the organization understands what is their journey into the consumer's life, and then how this particular element of packaging can support it, be it like not packaging, but also through the print communication or through the media as well. So I think that connection is required, understanding how it can fill a gap and what kind of job it will do into their life. So that particular element is very, very important, because unless we understand the purpose of it, nobody would like to invest money into that. The second part is, I think, also the knowledge around how easy it is to incorporate these elements, because many times also what we have seen is people do think about it, but they feel that, okay, this might be a cumbersome job, or it might require a lot of investment at their end or at their plants, their suppliers, and these are mere assumptions. But I think a good a toolkit and educational package would also help, where they can understand that this is very easy to implement, not too difficult. Also, I think some experiments and in-market studies would help people to realize if they are on the right track. There is no need to jump directly, say, to convert all 100% of their brands and SKUs to connected packaging. I think they can select few SKUs and brands, try to bring in the element which they want to highlight, be it promotional marketing or be it a kind of education background to the sustainability story, or something else which the brand is passionate about. And then experiment with that and see how the consumers react to it. I think that should be a easier way to engage with connected packaging. And then I think, of course, I think there is a big element around supply chain as well. I think where we do not touch upon it. I think once we understand the supply chain as well, I think there are opportunities to, say, have some authenticity as well, where people can be assured that they are buying the real product. There is no counterfeiting to it. Also, as a company, I think they will benefit from, say, the supply chain optimization. If they want to track and understand how are the packaging material or the SKUs moving, they can clearly monitor the insights and they can plan better in the future, because that will help streamline the site team and supply chain team to save some costs.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think I like what you say there as well. Start piece by piece. Don't think you've got to do everything in one go. And I think that's, very, very good advice. A pilot scheme, pilot project before kind of diving in and doing everything means you can learn along the way. That makes perfect sense to me. Is there a particular market that you think is more advanced than others at the moment in terms of connected packaging?
So we are seeing like many examples, say, in the European region. Also, say, Australia and New Zealand market is also like coming up in terms of the consciousness around new things on the shelf, as well as sustainable products in the market as well. They really want some of the things in the retail environment. So the customers also, and even the retail partners, they are pretty much aware of what's new and how it can help them bring in some new things on the market. Of course, North America as well, I would say so. We are seeing new examples in the market as well.
Yeah. What? We've got a question in from the audience. So, Shital asks, as a packaging supplier, I'm exploring the use of recycled plastic in our products. However, the high cost of recycled plastic compared to virgin plastic has raised concerns, which ultimately increases the price of final product. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so this question is not related directly to connected packaging.
No.
Yeah, but I would just try to answer it actually. So I think we need to understand that here it is a game of supply demand, the dynamics which is playing in the market. So for a virgin polymer, there are like multiple sources available, and of course there is an established supply chain for them. So the rates are at a very low level. And also many organizations, they can fluctuate the price according to their wish or the scenarios building up. However, for recycled plastics, it's coming up. I would say it's an emerging business opportunity there. In the last decade or so, things are improving, and I would say I think it will improve in the next few years as well. With new investments coming up in either chemical recycling or the mechanical recycling plants. So also, I think suddenly we have seen everybody wants to be on that bandwagon of recycled polymer, recycled plastics.
Yeah.
And that's also another element. If everybody is coming out and asking for that same material for which 10 other customers are also in the queue, definitely there is bound to be a competition for pricing, and that's what we are seeing today. And I think things will ease up in the future once we have a lot of capacities across different regions, because that's also one of the problem, that there is a region specific demand, and also the consumers or suppliers, sorry, are concentrated in certain regions. So I think things will get better in the future. But for now, I think yes, this we will see the price difference between the virgin polymers and the recycled polymers for some time.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. What do you think about data analytics, insights? How is this optimizing the performance of connected packaging and sustainability initiatives?
Yeah, I touched upon that, I think, earlier in terms of the supply chain part, where I think definitely with say the data available for the companies and retailers, I think they can plan better their inventories and also streamline their operations, which will help them actually understand how things are moving in the market. Also, I think in terms of the inefficiencies, they can try to understand the gaps and then do better things in the market. That will be like a good optimization story. Also, with respect to say experiences around consumer, we can, I think, provide a better access, which will help, I think, consumers experience like a better overall system. If they have to order, return something back, I think I'm seeing that already. I think the returning material or goods, if we don't want it, or if there is a defect in the material, is becoming easier actually, as compared to say earlier days. And thanks to all the organizations and the supply chain people, I think it is becoming an easier job for everybody to kind of return their material. So that's what I think has also resulted into higher e-commerce and online sales, because people have found value in that.
Yeah,
I can also, sorry.
Go for it.
Yeah, in terms of say also, I think insights, I think it is really a valuable data. And I would say it depends on what our end result is, what do we want to achieve on it. If it's digital marketing, we want to run the promotions or recommendations to the consumer, seeing their consumption pattern. And if you want to say push certain new material or new flavors, variants, that can be done. Also, if we want to guide the consumers for say certain preparations, or say in terms of there is a new recipe coming up, and if they want to experiment with something, we can do that as well. So I think it can be a tailor-made solution which we can provide, seeing the pattern, and it's up to the brand to utilize the data and insights to their benefit. And ultimately, I think consumers will also benefit from it, because they will be happier seeing that, okay, there is somebody who is taking care of their convenience.
Yeah, most definitely, and the brand can learn from that, whether it be logistics or whether it be product development as well. Okay, this is what that my consumers are saying, and actually they can understand that type of market research basically in real time. So I think that offers them so much more opportunity to be able to develop things quicker, to be able to have that gateway, to be able to have that connection. There's a couple of questions in from the audience. Anoop is asking about how is sustainability or connected packaging taken in consideration practically when a new product is launched? Is it really high on the cards? How does marketing and R&D team at Colgate perceive this change? It's a long question. I'll leave it with you.
I would say sustainability definitely has taken a lot of space now into our new product launches. It's no longer a luxury or only a item on the agenda item on the list. It is the requirement. I think everybody is having a long-term tracker to follow. So we also have a goals tracker for sustainability, in which we have certain commitments which we have made to our consumers, our shareholders. So we are following that, be it like making 100% of our packaging material recyclable, or say incorporating 25% recycled content into our plastics. So we are working on that goal line. And I think certainly whenever we are talking about any new product, any new packaging, we keep that into our project brief. With respect to connected packaging, I would say it is coming to the table. We do not put it right on the chart in terms of that's not a consumer need, I would say, so that they immediately want it. However, I think once the marketing and sales strategy comes up, it is certainly now we are trying to understand how we can help the product and packaging reach to its targeted audience. Also, will the consumer benefit from that particular intervention? That's also important. So definitely, when the marketing strategy is being devised, when we are talking about, say, elements to be added to the artwork and graphics, we do check in on what will make more sense from connected packaging side.
Yeah, definitely. Then part of the agenda, maybe not the first thing, but that's certainly part of the agenda. Makes good sense. Nikki from the audience as well is asking, one of the questions I often get asked by my SME members who are in the UK, how will we get our customers scanning the QR codes on my packaging?
Yeah, so I think that's very, I would say, this is the answer everybody's looking for. We want to increase the rate of scanning the QR codes, which ultimately is a challenge for all of us. I think there has to be a meaningful transition for consumers to understand that, okay, say in a retail chain environment, people do scan barcodes. It's a necessity to check out. They have to understand what they're buying, how much they need to pay, and then move around. Now, if they feel that the QR code they are scanning is something which is absolutely necessary, it is part of what they have bought with the new product, whatever they're buying, that would be the ultimate thing, that everybody starts scanning every product they are buying and understanding, realizing what it brings to them. But I would say that's a far-fetched dream. But even I think in terms of even if we talk about 50 to 70% of our products being scanned on QR code, that would be a good number right now. And I would say we need to educate them, make them understand that this is where we bring a difference to their buying experience, their consumption experience, and also beyond consumption, once they are ready to dispose of the product or packaging, how will the QR code or their knowledge help in overall disposal method? I think that is also important. So I think 3 or 4 phases of consumption around buying experience, usage experience, and the disposal experience. There we can add a lot of value, and people would definitely start scanning QR codes as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. You know, Nikki, just to also add a few pointers. You know, how do I get customers to scan the QR codes? If they understand the value, of course, as Sukhdev is saying, then that's fantastic. But some practical things that we normally see is also being able to not only communicate the QR code on the packaging, but to actually put it onto other things as well. So point of sale material, to put it into social media, television, to let everyone know in as many places as possible that actually if you scan the QR code, something's going to happen, and something great, not just, as we talked about before, a redirect to our website. So that would be kind of number one. The second is incentivize, and it doesn't necessarily mean incentivize with Ferraris, Mercedes, such things, but something of value. And again, I think that ties in with what you were saying before, Sukhdev, as well. You know, something that's valuable to the customer. Is that something around the information around the sourcing of that particular product? Is it actually around recipes, how to make? Is it actually a prize? Is it a incentive? Is it a loyalty program? Whatever that might be, something that brings value to that customer. And then the third piece is kind of one that I think gets forgotten a lot, which is to put the QR code in a way on the packaging that gets seen. Because at the moment, unfortunately, we're not at Sukhdev's dream, which is that everybody scans every single product possible. Maybe that will one day happen. But, you know, put it in a place where, you know, consumers can see it, because if they can't see it, they can't scan it. So, you know, a couple of practical things there that I would kind of offer as my answer to that as well. Sukhdev, we're nearly at the end, and I just really want to talk about the future. We are coming to the end of this session, but that actually closes the 2-day summit entirely as well. And, you know, I want to think about the future. We might not be getting to that dream that you talk about, but what is coming? What's coming next year? What we're going to be talking about next year? What's going to be happening in the world of connected packaging over the next 12 months?
I wish I had a crystal ball, actually, that would change a lot of scenarios.
You can pass it to me next.
Yeah. I would say, I think definitely the focus on, bringing in more sustainable products and solutions definitely will continue. We are seeing that's on a rise. The convenience part as well, I think, and be it any type of, convenience. We spoke about the convenience for people with, limited accessibility or having visual visibility issues. I think there would be like similar stories around how brands and products are making impact on their life, their issues or problems being solved through packaging. I think there will be more stories around it from a year from now. And that's why I think it will make us also smile. I think after a year or so, if we look at those stories and read some reviews around how a packaging change or an intervention from connected packaging that helped people do better things, I think that will make us smile as well.
Yeah, definitely. So lots of things to think about. Lots of new things are going to be happening. Lots of things are changing. You know, the deposit return scheme, all of these different things that we're looking at. But coming back to really brands being able to make the best use of connected packaging. So I'm excited to get closer to your dream. 50 to 70% sounds pretty good in terms of scanning. So massive appreciation to you, Sukhdev. Thank you so much for your time, for your insights and comments. It's been absolutely fantastic having you here.
Thank you for inviting me and allowing me to share my thought process with our team and audiences. So thank you for inviting me, and thanks to the team for arranging this wonderful event.
Thank you so much. So a big thank you, of course, to Sukhdev, to all our panelists, to you, the fantastic audience, and all the brilliant questions that you've had. I think this event has been an incredible journey filled with so many different insights, innovative ideas, valuable insight, meaningful connections. And we're really learning a lot more about the future of connected packaging and how things are going to change over the next 12 months, because we'll be back next year. So again, we thank you so much for your time. Do remember that we do have the recordings that will be sent out for you. So if you did miss any of our sessions, you will be able to catch them on Catch Up on YouTube or on our podcast under the Talking Giraffe. For now, I wish you a very good day, and I look forward to seeing you, if not at another event, certainly this one next year. Thank you so much. Speak to you all soon.